a lot of people will ask me questions like, why do you do so much?
Yep.
Where you're at right now, this is massive. You've grown so much. I was like, yeah, but I've done it. Like, if I don't pursue more, I die inside.
Yeah.
I'm a spiritual guy too, you know, but I can't find anywhere in the Bible where it says retire.
A dog has a prey drive, and that's the animal's ability to stalk, capture, and kill prey. Humans have this drive. I went to a guy who had like world-class hunting dogs, and I said, tell me when the dog is most motivated. He said, when it knows it gets to go hunting.
Yes.
Not when it captures it. The retirement was made up by the government, and they're not very good at making up concepts.
Clearly.
The word retire means to be taken out of use. That's what it means.
Sharp French, what up? This one luck, I let the pain inspire me. I put my all in everything I'm doing. Up until it's done, I'm me for the entirety. I put in overtime, I be working. Just know I'ma go for mine, cause I earned it. They watching, I know it's time. I confirmed it. A whole society determined.
What's going on, everyone? We're back with another episode of the Determined Society. Today I have with me an amazing guest, Coach Michael Burt. He's well known in the coaching industry. He's just an overall amazing entrepreneur, great dude. In fact, back in the day, he won so many state championships as a basketball coach, and we're going to get to that today, but really a great man, founder of the Greatness Factory, and best-selling author of multiple books. So I can't say enough about Michael Burt, but without further ado, man, welcome to the show.
Thank you. An honor to be here, man.
Yeah,
proud of you and your work ethic. And
Thank you.
Just tell me about your cadence and your rhythm, and just like you chose an aiming point.
Yep.
You stuck with it.
Yep.
And that's why I say long obedience in the same direction.
I love that. You said that out there. I'm like, dang.
Yeah, that's actually a book title. Eugene Peterson was a pastor that wrote a book called Long Obedience in the Same Direction.
Long obedience in the same direction. Yes, discipline, man. You mentioned out there, discipline, the root is to be a disciple of something.
Yep. Yeah.
It's so funny because, like, you know, when I started everything, it's with an iPhone and a car.
Yeah.
And then it turned into in person, or not in person, no, in the house, in a den. And then it started to materialize. And like you said, long obedience.
Yeah.
Long obedience.
Well, I mean, Jeff Colvin wrote a book many years ago called Talent is Overrated.
Mm-hmm.
And the argument in the book, which I subscribe to, is that when you see people who are really good at something, the tendency is to believe they were just naturally more gifted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Of course.
The truth is, the book goes into people that were great that they found their voice early in life. Mozart was playing music at 2. You know, so-and-so went to work with their dad at 11. I mean, I could show you when I was in Nashville and I saw Taylor Swift at 13 years old singing to 55,000 people.
Beautiful.
Okay. By the time she's 33, that's 20 years of long obedience. I started coaching when I was 15. I was a head coach at 22. Right. You see, so it's like I'd really been coaching. So when I started at 15, by the time I retired at 31, I'd really been in that business for 16 years. So that is a long obedience of and in my life, I've been coaching, really literally coaching people for 33 years.
It's crazy because, you know, we look at you and all the success that you've had, right? Best-selling author, what was it, 7 state championships?
Yep. A school wins 7 of 9 over a cycle of time.
And had previously never won one, right?
On 30 years.
On 30 years. So all these amazing accomplishments, very successful executive coach, right? Best-selling author. When people come across that, the first inclination is, like you said, it's just like, maybe he's more talented than me, or man, that happened overnight.
Yep.
It didn't, right? Everything that you have going on today, I can look at you, right? Because I'm new in the space. I'm 4 years in. I'm like, when you sit out there, and I know the number, I'm not going to say the number because Michael told me he ratted you out, bro. He ratted you out. Like, that amount of success financially and impact wise is not going to happen in 4 years.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen in 5. It may not even happen in 10.
Yep.
And I think the fact is that everybody wants that short aim.
Yeah.
They want that easy target. And if you ain't willing to do something, suck at it for a very long time and not be recognized, then you probably shouldn't do it.
Yeah. Well, the world typically rewards skill. So I always like to say, and I wrote about this in a book called 8-Figure Skills Stuck in 6-Figure Vehicles. Okay. And it was because I saw so many people that were level 10 people stuck in level 4 opportunities. Okay. That was me. I had a big engine.
Yep.
I was relatively skilled at building competitive intelligence in people, activating the prey drive in people, right? But I was in this vehicle where I could only make $50,000 a year or $60,000, no matter how many games I won, no matter how hard I worked. Okay. So I was a level 10 dude stuck in a level 4 vehicle. Nothing wrong with the vehicle. Wasn't like there was a problem with the vehicle, but I started going, I'm looking for a bigger table. I'm looking for a seat at a bigger table.
Yeah, man.
First, it was just speaking. I'm going to get out and speak because I'm a coach and I can coach people. And that led to big companies saying, will you coach our people? And that led to this. And then I generated enough profit in the coaching business that I started buying real estate. And I started going, what if I could coach at the real estate that I own? So I bought a big lodge in Tennessee. I built a $8 million building in downtown Nashville called the Greatness Factory. And I call that intentional congruence. So I love coaching. I love activating the prey driving people. I love building competitive intelligence in teams. I also love cool real estate.
Yeah.
How do I combine it? And so we started taking the money from the coaching business and buying real estate. And that's really what jumped our net worth up. But it's because we're kind of feeding. Everything feeds everything. There's an intentional congruence to that.
I love it, man. You know, it's funny story here. Like, I heard of the Greatness Factory, and I don't mean this as a dig, dude. Like, I knew the Greatness Factory years ago before I knew who you were.
Yeah.
That's great job.
Yeah.
That's branding, baby. That's branding, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's funny. I don't know how long you were here for my part of the sales training. They thought you were coming through the front door.
Yeah.
But then I remembered, I'm like, yeah, I gave him the trick. He's going to come through this other one. I forgot to tell him.
Yeah.
But I was stuck in the exact same vehicle you were.
Yep.
I was a baseball coach.
Yep.
And a school teacher.
Yep.
And when I had my first child, my son, Bobby.
Yep.
I was like, I can't provide what I want to provide.
Right.
Like this. I need more. I want the bigger table.
Yep.
So it's funny, like, we never met,
Yep.
Until this week. We've been connected, obviously, did some IG stuff together, but like, two people on two opposite sides, never met each other, same story. I can only hope I'm on that same path.
But how many people are out there that feel like they're level 10 people?
Yeah.
That have the skill set. And that's really where I was going with that last answer, is that the world rewards skills. The people who are the most skilled make the most money. Okay. But the skill has to be packaged. It has to be marketed. Then it is monetized.
Exactly.
And I think somewhere in that cycle of finding the X factor, packaging the X factor, marketing the X factor, monetization of the X factor is where people struggle.
Yeah. And I don't think too, it's funny because like, it was that way in teaching. And then I went into sales and I started at Paychecks.
Okay.
Crushed it there, top 20 in the company. Then I went to the medical device industry, did very, very well there.
Yeah.
But I still felt I was in the wrong vehicle.
Yeah.
Right. And it wasn't until I started this where I felt like, okay, I'm home.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take some time. We made some great moves and we've made some mistakes and, but I finally feel like, okay, I'm fulfilling that 10 level right now. It's like, I could do this forever. I feel, in fact, when it's funny, my biggest fear is like, oh my God, like, how long do I get to do this? Like, am I still going to be doing a show when I'm 70? I hope so.
Yep.
I love it.
Yep.
Like, I don't want like 10 more years.
Yeah. Well, I think when you're looking at these things, it's like, what do you love doing? What could you be the best in the world at doing? Where is the economic engine? And one of my skill sets is monetization of concepts, right? Creating concepts that can be monetized. The Greatness Factory, I always tell people it's like right now it's a $10 million idea that could be a $100 million idea. So it's like, it all started in the brain. You go there in the mind before you go there in the body. And so it's like, in the end, what is my conscience telling me I should be doing? And when you kind of combine all of that, you're like, this is really what I'm supposed to be doing.
So good, dude. You told a funny story in there. I want you to tell on here on the show. For 30 years, no state championship.
Yeah.
You had never won one either.
Yep.
And you thought this was gonna be this big elaborate thing. You tell yourself the story, right? You win the state championship. Why don't you walk through your celebratory routine with the audience?
It's like you, in your mind, you think you're going to win a championship, and thousands of people are going to be celebrating with you, and it there's about 10,000 people at the game, and that was cool when we won that championship. But then you do interviews, and then you see your family, and then you do all these things, and so by the time we got finished that night, it's like it's midnight.
Yeah.
It's on a Saturday night. I got this big gold basketball. I'm like, let's go celebrate, right? And then I'm like, where are we going to go? There's nothing that's open.
Yeah.
So I ended up, I was starving. I mean, literally, because the game was like at 4, and then by the time I do all that stuff, and so by the time I got to the end of the night, man, there was nothing to do. I was starving. At those days, I wasn't married. In those days, I was
you were by yourself.
I was a single dude.
Okay.
And I didn't have any. So like one of my buddies went with me, and I'm like, man, we got to go eat. And we ended up going to Steak and Shake.
Oh my
Because
God.
that was the only thing that was open.
Right.
And I'm like, I just walk in with the gold basketball, sit it down, because you can imagine what these people are thinking at Steak and Shake. And they're like, I'm really hungry. I'd like a double steak burger. And that was my celebration. I took it back, took it home with me, took it back on Monday morning to my boss who hired me when I was 22 years old as a young assistant to be a head coach. And I said, put it in the trophy case, man. And then I said, what's next?
I love that.
And that's how big time people celebrate. The prey drive is not activated by capturing something. If you study animals, like when I wrote the book Flip the Switch, it was kind of based on these 2 words, prey drive. And I trademarked those 2 words in humans, okay? Because it's an animal. A dog has a prey drive. And that's the animal's ability to stalk, capture, and kill prey. All right. And I think humans have this drive, but it's not to stalk, capture, and kill. It's to see something with the eyes, optically, or in the mind. Because I've spoken to blind business owners before, and they couldn't see it with the eyes, but they saw it in their mind. Okay. And then to pursue it. And when I was studying the animal, I missed something the first time, but then I went back and researched it. The dog is most motivated not by capturing the prey, but by the mere pursuit, by its ability. And I went to a guy who had like world-class hunting dogs. And I said, tell me when the dog is most motivated. He said, when it knows it gets to go hunting.
Yes.
Not when it captures it. So when you capture something, a championship, you make $1 million, you buy a nice car, whatever it is that you do, you give away money to charity. Like that's may have a fleeting moment of a celebration. It's like, this is good. It's like when I'm flying on my plane. I bought a plane in 2017 because I was away from my kids all the time. And everybody tells you how expensive owning a private jet is, and it is expensive. And it's only gotten more expensive, but people who tell you have never bought one.
Yeah.
And they don't know what they're talking about. You can partner on them. It's like real estate. So I rent mine when I'm not using it. But if you're on that plane by yourself with just you and the pilots, it's like a moment of like, now this is cool.
Yeah.
Like I worked hard to do this, right? And you want more of that.
Sure.
But it's a fleeting thing, man.
You know, it's crazy because like a lot of people will ask me questions like, why do you do so much?
Yep.
Why do you keep doing? Like where you're at right now, this is massive. You've grown so much. I was like, yeah, but I've done it. Yeah. Like, what do you, like, if I don't pursue more, I die inside.
Yeah.
Like this is not the end game, you know? And again, I'm a spiritual guy too, you know, but I can't find anywhere in the Bible where it says retire.
Yeah. Well,
I could be wrong.
The retirement was made up by the government. Okay. And they're not very good at making up concepts.
Clearly.
So not that they're bad people, but the word retire, if you notice when I speak, I really break down words. Like I take a word and I go, what is it? The word retire means to be taken out of use.
Ooh.
That's what it means.
Come on.
It's you're taking something out of use. Okay. My grandfather was an entrepreneur and I loved him, and I would go see my granddad, and he was so skilled. He could build houses. He could build cabinets. He had a farm. He's like a Tennessee country boy.
Yeah.
That was just like a blue collar millionaire. It worked hard and figured out how to make money. And I used to go see him, and he would say, it's out there, son. You just got to reach for it. Or if you got to want to, you can find a how to. He would give me all these little things. Well, he got up and worked every day. Worked the farm, worked this. He'd come home at lunch. My grandmother would make him lunch. Then he'd go back out to work.
Yep.
Okay. And he was vibrant. And then he retired. And my mother, who's a nurse, said to me one day, it's almost as if everything in your grandfather's life went downhill when he retired. His mind went downhill. His body went downhill. And so when you really think about this, you retire. This is what the government tells you, or people tell you, work your whole life so you can retire. You can be taken out of use, but there's no purpose.
Yeah.
What you really run out of is purpose. Joe Paterno, when they fired him at Penn State, he was 82.
Quickly.
He was dead in less than 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay. What happened? He ran out of purpose. They took away his passion, his purpose. So pray drive is like, I need to get up and pursue something. So my talk tomorrow is going to be all based around one verse. And I was sitting in church last week, and Martin Luther King Jr.'s niece was the guest. Okay, now listen to this. Her uncle was killed, Martin Luther King Jr. His brother, her father, was killed. Someone walked into a church and killed her mom when she was singing church, and her ability to forgive was so powerful. And she would tell these stories like, my granddad taught me this, and one of the things her granddad taught her was to write it down and make it plain, and that's a verse in the Bible. And so I started studying that verse and different interpretations of that verse. And it's like, write it down, make it plain, and then it says run toward it. Well, I thought it meant so you could run fast toward it, but it actually means make it clear so other people can take it and run with it.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know that until I was like, okay, because if you look at all the interpretations. So the talk I'm going to give tomorrow, because I wrote a book called From A to B. Simple. The most simple book I've ever written.
Yeah.
It's 15 questions. But guess what problem it solves? What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? What is your big opportunity? And it's 15 questions that forces you to get clear. Okay, because it's opportunity confusion. So I'm going to give that talk tomorrow. And I was inspired to give it because I was sitting in church. I'm like, I know what I'm talking about at Mike's conference. Determine your destiny.
Yeah.
Write it down. Make it plain. Make it clear so that you and other people can take it and go, man.
Love it.
That's what I'm going to talk about.
I love it, man. And it's so funny because like as you go and you were talking about A to B, so many people get stuck because they don't know what they want to do, right? So audience, you're sitting there watching and listening, and if that hit you really hard, then you need to go find that book and you need to read Michael Burt and A to B, because if you can answer those questions and you can get clear on what you want to do, and I think that's a practical thing, right?
So practical.
Because if you would have done the same thing, if you would have sat here with me 5 years ago, Sean, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
It would have been like, yo, I don't know.
Yeah.
But if you would have given me those questions, I would have been like, okay, let's answer this one. Then that one builds on the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one. Right? Because for me, I always knew I wanted to be a speaker of some sort. I wanted to do something. I wanted to inspire people, right? I have a very big love for the human race. And then I heard, one day someone told me about Andy Frisella.
Yep.
And from the MFCEO project.
Yep.
And I was an OG. I listened to every one of those episodes.
Wow.
And I just remember like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
But I can't, I don't have. And so for years I sat on it until one day I finally said, you know what?
Yep.
I've already made the decision,
but
I haven't taken action.
That's right.
So then I did. And so it comes in different waves, but I just think that's so helpful, man. Buy the book.
Yeah. And you can get that. I think the only place you can get that is my website, coachburt.com. And you can get all my books there. And then we know who bought the books. And I actually call almost every person that buys my books.
No way.
Yep. It's just something I like doing.
That's cool.
Because they're indicating interest. I do not think the book changes your life. I think the book opens your mind. I think being coached and mentored by me will change your life.
Absolutely.
So, the words I wrote in that book is called opportunity confusion. Opportunity confusion affects very talented people.
Yep.
Because they could do so many things.
Dude.
So you had these skills from being a baseball coach and really knowing how to do that. It's like you could do a lot of things. You could go be a great salesperson. You could do this. You could do this. So there's no shortage of opportunity. No. But seeing it and going, that's what I want to do. And that happened to me early. I can't remember when I first started speaking. I wrote my first book at 25 years old because I was starting to win games. People were always asking me what I was doing. They'd be like, what are you doing with these kids, man?
Yeah.
They're so disciplined. They have such chemistry. They play so hard for you. And I was really going over to the business world, studying business. I was deconstructing it and bringing it to my players. And I would tell people that. They're like, I don't understand. Like, how do you do it? And I finally said, forget it. I'm going to write a book. The book was called Changing Lives Through Coaching. And because I think a good coach can change your life.
Oh, 1,000%.
And I wrote that book. And people said, I was like, well, I got to go do something with it. Like, what am I going to do? Yeah. And so I was like getting it out to people. And people said, well, come speak. And I remember, like, I enjoyed the preparation.
Yeah.
What am I going to talk about? I enjoyed going and doing it. Okay. So I speak at this banquet, elementary basketball banquet, right? They paid me $250. And there was a little dude, like 5 foot. And he came to me and he goes, you could go on the circuit. And I didn't know what he was talking about, Sean.
What's a circuit?
I go, what circuit? He's like, go around the world and speak. And then he said something that was game-changing for me. He said, like Lou Holtz. And Lou Holtz at that time was the head coach at Notre Dame. Yep. So I go home and I'm like, Google Lou Holtz. And he was writing books and he was coaching Notre Dame and he was speaking. And down in the corner it said speaking fee, $100,000 for 1 hour. Back then. And I go, I could do this.
Yeah, I'm in.
But see, this is to your point though. I didn't go, well, I'm not Lou Holtz.
Yeah.
I'm a high school basketball coach. Here's what I want the listener to take away. I go, if he's writing books, I need to be writing books.
Yes.
If he's speaking, I need to be speaking. If he's doing this, I can do it. And so 1 turned into 2, and 2 turned into 3, and 3 turned into 4. But my point is, a lot of people live in mental creation. So when I draw it up, it's A's here and B's here, and I'm trying to get to B. But most people couldn't even tell me what B is.
Right,
Okay.
Of course.
Then they live over here. They think and stall. They think and stall. They think and stall. I don't know how to do it. And the brain says you don't know how to do it, therefore you must not be able to do it.
Yeah.
Versus go, who could help me do this?
Keeping you safe, man.
Yeah. So then it's like a mental, I've got mental creation. I want to do this. I want to travel around the world and speak. I'm going to write best-selling books. I'm going to build a greatness factor, whatever. The next thing for me to do is what's the next logical action that I could take?
Absolutely.
I want a greatness factory in Virginia Beach. I go to Virginia Beach. I tell Mike Little, go find me a space that could do this, right? Come to my greatness factory and see it, and go to Fort Myers and see what's a good place for a greatness factory. Go physically, get into action.
Yeah.
That starts the manifestation. Talk about it, speak it into existence, and move toward it.
I think, like, look, man, like this is all, we have so many similar principles, right? Of course, articulated differently, right? But we're saying the same things. It's like, when you see something with your mind, you have to take action on it, because if you don't, you stall. And when you stall, what happens? That's called stagnation.
Yep.
Well, dude, that's when you start to go down that rabbit hole. Like you talked about, we've all gone through moments of depression in our life. Most recently when I was just sitting there not moving my body, I was starting to fall into that. So, after long times of how do I go from A to B, I was stuck there stalling. We're out of that now. But dude, like, most people are stuck in A, man, and they just don't understand that they don't have to have all the answers. The in-between stuff, that's figure outable, right? It's all going to be figured out in there. And the most important thing, like you said, is like go into the movement. Go into the movement. Go to Virginia Beach.
That's right.
Go to Fort Myers.
That's right.
You should come to Fort Myers.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we built it in Naples, though.
Yeah, I'm open. I'm open.
Man.
Anything closed off to nothing.
Dude, it's amazing. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned it's like, I'm doing work now with a guy named Price Pritchett, Dr. Price Pritchett. He's 82-year-old psychologist. He wrote U Squared, Quantum Leap Strategy, sold 14 million copies of that book.
Oh.
No funnels, no landing pages, no real marketing. Think about that. Just by people buying it, telling people. And he wrote a book called U Squared. And in U Squared, it's how do you experience a quantum leap? Okay. Which is a significant jump.
Massive.
With ease. There's no real rhyme or reason on how it happens. And one of the chapters of that book is focus on the ends versus the means. To experience a quantum leap, you can't map it out because you've never done it before. Okay. So it's like when I say I'm going to have 100 greatness factories, people go, this is crazy. He's got one. No, you don't get to 100. You don't know how you're going to do it. Now, I could raise capital and give up a percentage of the concept like WeWork did. I could strategically partner. I could go to the bank and say, will you guys be my partner? I could raise private funds, right? I could license it. I could say, hey, if you want it in Naples, you're my guy in Naples, okay? And so my point is, we don't need to get caught up in all that. What we need to get caught up in is let's move toward that. We're going to fail our way to a quantum leap. Okay. And the analytical person really struggles with this because they want it to be seen So when I say write it down and make it plain, it's like I'm at A, I got 1 greatness factory, I want 100. Okay, now in the middle is just who can help me do this? Is it someone who's in charge of acquisition? Is it one guy to raise money? Just by me talking about that and saying that to you, I've got a guy who could raise the capital.
Yeah.
See, and then I go straight to my notes, and I would go call Justin, F, okay, and then I go raise X capital, build 3 greatness factories. Everybody see that? Now, what I'm really doing, you're seeing me in live time.
Yeah.
3 greatness factories. Because the truth is, this is why Who Not How was such a good book by Sullivan, because I was coached through Strategic Coach, and he was a genius with ideas. And Who Not How, it's like, who can help me do it? Okay, I got a guy who loves raising capital. I go to him and I say, look, raise $10 million and let's build 3 of these.
Yeah.
That's how fast. That's how fast it could happen.
Yeah.
Okay. For the person out there watching it, I'm going from mental creation. That's a physical action.
Absolutely.
Calling him is a physical action.
The note is a physical act.
So don't get caught up in, I don't know how to do something. Get caught up in, see it, write it down, program it in the subconscious mind, move. Boom, boom, boom.
I think a lot of people get caught on the right move, right? And there is none. It could be messy.
That's right.
But you just have to make that call, right? Like when I first started, I used to have a tagline, make the call.
Yeah.
Because like, dude, you just don't know.
I know.
Like that's how we're all here right now.
Yeah.
Mike, I met Mike, when we were meeting up with ET, we had a great time. We vibed well.
Yep.
I noticed that they were tagging me in a lot of stories.
Yep.
And I made the call.
That's right.
Hey man, what's up?
That's right.
What's going on?
Yep.
I'm seeing some synergy here. You're tagging me in some things. I don't want to ignore some of the things that are going out there, but I don't know what they mean.
Right.
And he goes, oh, I'd really like to do something with you. I'm like, bet, let's do this, right? So we started talking. It's like, well, I'd like to go on your show. I'm like, yeah, you can come on the show, but that's kind of playing small.
Right.
Right? Let's do something.
Right.
And so I said, hey, why don't you and Tim get together and write out what you want to do with me?
Yep.
And send it over in 48 hours.
Yep.
And then they sent back like 3 or 4 pages. And I'm like,
wow.
Well, let's move down that road, right? Mental manifestation.
Yes.
Taking action, making the call, and then we moved.
That's right.
And it wasn't easy, especially for Tim and Michael putting all and they've done such a great job.
Absolutely.
Right? Wow. The reception you and I just had out here and our sales talk, like it was just on a Friday.
Yeah. And it's like I always say you don't need more money, you need more people.
Yep.
The people have the money.
Yep.
So, when people say, can you come do this or can you come do that? Yeah, man, I could do that. What else would I do? I mean, what's the alternative? I sit at the hotel and I call people versus get in front of 100 people, right? And what's going to happen because of that is who knows what's going to happen?
You don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But so I always have all these sayings when I wrote Flip the Switch. It's like, well, how do you think? When in doubt, I take an action. When I don't know what to do, I do something.
Something, man.
Right? I go to bed tired and I wake up hungry. It all goes to 0 at midnight. See, these are, right? We go where we feel celebrated, not tolerated.
Yeah, man.
It's like just move. And that's why the word motivate means to move. So if you're out there, it's like so many people, you mentioned stagnation earlier. And stagnation is the opposite of expansion.
Right.
Inertia. So if you feel stagnated and you're watching this, and there's periods of our life we all stagnate, you first have to have a realization that I have stagnated. I am getting incremental results, and I'm sick of incremental results. I'm getting 7% year over year. I'm growing, but it's not at a rapid pace. I'm not experiencing a quantum leap. I'm working hard. So the realization is I've stagnated.
Yeah.
Energy is dynamic, static, or entropic. 3 states of energy, right? If you when I bought that plane, Reggie Jackson's pilot was my pilot.
That's cool.
And he flew a great baseball player, Reggie Jackson, around him. I said, tell me about the cockpit. He said, man, what you would like, coach, is there's something up there called the attitude indicator. And the attitude indicator tells you is the plane ascending, plateaued, or descending. Okay? And that attitude indicator, you always want it. You never want it going down, never. But so the attitude indicator, and I thought, now that's a great analogy. In life, people are ascending. They have stagnated, or they're descending.
Yeah, and you don't want
and the attitude indicator tells me, right? I'm walking my 2 kids in church on Sunday. Mama stayed home because she just flew in from California. I got my 2-year-old and my 4-year-old son. And I'm like, get your head up, right? Everybody get your head up. My 2-year-old girl's like, I'm like, no, I mean, get your head up. And you got to show her.
Yeah.
That's what it means, get your head up.
Yep.
Make eye contact with people
Mm-hmm.
and say, good morning, people. And my little girl's like, good morning, people. Good morning. You know, as we're walking into church
Right,
because
yeah.
so many people.
Yep.
Head down.
Yep.
Attitude indicator says I'm static.
Mm-hmm.
Get your head up, smile, and meet and greet people.
It's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
What a great lesson for your kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we always say, look people in the eye.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Shake their hand.
That's right.
Right. You're not going to walk in a room and not acknowledge somebody.
Right.
You know what I
And
mean?
if people could just get that,
I know.
that bad attitudes make for hard lives, number one. But the attitude indicator says I'm open for business, man.
Yeah.
I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
And by me talking about follow-up today, I'm really saying I'm interested in you, man.
Yeah.
I'm following up with you. I'm interested. Let's
Mhm.
do something.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's all energy too, right?
Mhm.
People want to work with people and do life with people that have a high level of enthusiasm, right?
That's right.
To a degree, and they really just embody that energy of like, hey, we can grow this together.
Yes.
You know, we've been talking. I think this is my 5th show in the last 12 hours.
Yep.
And
Amazing.
it's crazy, right? It's so much fun.
I do one, and I'm like, man, I don't know
I'm
if I
geeking out.
I'm sitting there thinking, I don't know if I could do 5 in a day, man. That's impressive.
So yeah, I think we have 6 today. 2 yesterday, 6 today, and then 1 tomorrow. But you know, the thing that we were talking about that I always believe in, we live in a co-creative environment.
Yep.
Like competition, okay, the only person you should be competing with yourself is you competing with yourself.
Yep.
Like where was I last year? Where was I 6 months ago? Am I further along? Well, if I'm not, then I need to check myself.
Mhm.
But I can't be looking at you.
Yep.
I can't be looking at, you know, other people doing the same thing I'm doing, right?
Right.
I think what we really need to do in the world is understand that we can get so much further if we create together.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's just, to me, it's just the way.
Well, we're so trained to think win, lose, you know, and it starts very early in life, survival mechanisms. And the truth is, that's why I'm saying when it's like, I don't know what to do, I do something, I strategically partner with somebody. Because if you really study quantum leaps, when I started doing this work with Pritchett, I'm like, okay, when did I experience a quantum leap? How did it happen? It happened because I was introduced to someone who brought a new paradigm to me, changed my way of thinking. Or someone introduced me to a whole network of people.
Yeah.
And that's when my business jumped. So the strategic partnership was when the business showed a significant jump. I learned something new. I met somebody new. And that showed a significant quantum leap.
Absolutely. You could go so much further with people.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can't see everything.
That's right.
You know, like if we ever did something together, you're so highly intelligent, but there might be things that you're like,
100%.
wait, Sean, I've never thought of that. I'm
That's
like, well, this is all I think about.
Yeah.
And when you bring that together in partnerships and, you know, collaborations, that's how big things happen, man. Like really big things.
Yeah.
Then you think of what's next.
Well, and you know, you doing the podcast gets me thinking I do a podcast, but I've never taken it as serious as I should. It's like I interview successful people. It's good. You know what I mean? But I've never really dug in and said like, I'm doing it. I'm committed to it. Right. It's like, you know, so it's like when you're around other people that it activates the prey drive. Okay. So think of prey drive in phases. It must be activated. For a lot of people, it's latent and undeveloped.
Yep.
Then there must be a persistence to the prey drive. That's that long obedience. Then there needs to be an intensity to the prey drive.
Right.
It's like I'm locked in. I was watching Maverick on the plane over here, you know, go back and watching Tom Cruise in that.
Wow.
And it was just,
That's a great movie, dude.
well, it every time I watch it, it gets me thinking that's the kind of people I want to work with.
Hell yeah.
The best people who have a desire to be Top Gun, man. It's like they're out there
Yep.
and like gravitate toward like.
Mhm.
Association breeds assimilation.
Absolutely.
So it's like, okay, let's go there. Let's go work with these people who are here, who want to go there.
Yep.
And the prey drive may be activated, but just because the prey drive is activated doesn't mean you can't lose it.
No.
At 31 years old, I was completely burned out.
Yeah.
I had coached for 16 straight years. I'd worked 80 hours a week. I coached all through college. So when most people were in college, I was coaching.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a life. I didn't have any friends. I wasn't married. I didn't have any kids. I was totally married to winning.
Yep.
And which I don't regret at all.
Of course you shouldn't.
But at 31, I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm ready for the next move.
Good.
And I knew. So energy is rejuvenated alive, vibrant. It is mechanical, or it is burned out, which is loss of all joy or passion for something. And I lost all joy or passion for it. Now, I go back to a game every now and then, and they want me to sit down on the court side, and I go, oh, man, that's something about it I do love, but I don't want to go back and do it.
So I kind of played around with coaching again.
Okay. Tell me about that.
A few years ago, maybe 4 years ago, it was right when I was started building my brand.
Yep.
It was the baseball season after COVID, so 2021.
Okay.
And I went back and I coached. And wife's like, hey, we got a young family.
Yep.
Can you just do 1 day a week? I'm like, yeah, it's not gonna be a problem. I got back onto the baseball field. Now I'm itching, right?
Okay.
So, I did the 1 day a week, and then it was fine. And it was hard for me because I wanted more and more and more. I wanted to be there again. And that's what I was really good at.
Yep.
And then the next season, I didn't go out at all because this started growing. And then the next year, like even bigger. Yeah. And then this past year, I went out maybe 5 times, but mostly towards the postseason. And what I learned is exactly that. I like the idea of being out there and coaching again, but what I really want to do is this, and I want to coach my son.
Yeah.
And I do coach my son. Yeah. So my prey drive is wide open when I'm out there on the field with my kid.
Yep.
Like it's ferocious. Yeah. But I don't have any drive. I didn't even thought twice about it. Like high school tryouts were like this week or last week. I'm like, oh.
Yep.
Like it
was a good season. And that's what I was saying earlier in the interview, is that how many people, have dreams of something bigger, but they're so afraid. I was scared to death to leave high school coaching.
I bet I've done it.
Like I remember, what am I going to do? It's like, this is all I've ever known. This is my way of life. This is right. And so when I did, I'm like, okay. Then I just moved on to the next play. Yep. What's the next play in your life that you need to move toward? What's the seat at a bigger table?
And don't judge it.
And absolutely. Don't just be fluid.
Yeah.
Be open to it.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I want to tell a funny story, and then we'll let you go.
Yep.
I love this conversation. It's just great catching up with you, man. So I did a TED Talk in March.
Okay.
And my friend flew in from Connecticut.
Okay.
Melissa Chiappone.
Okay. Yeah.
You
I do know Mel. Yeah.
Coach
Yeah.
So great job. Thank you. I was, I'm sure it wasn't the best. It was my first TED Talk, right? It was nerve wracking.
I bet.
My heart was about to beat out of my chest when I walked on stage. And then once I got out there, it was over. Like I didn't feel anything. I'm just like, go.
Yep.
But afterwards, she was, hey, I got a great book that I want you to read.
Yep.
And I started reading it the other day, shamelessly, I will say.
Yep.
It's taken a while. And she prefaced the conversation. She's like, I know somebody that I think you'll really vibe with. He's an amazing coach. He's very busy. I don't know if he'll connect with you or not. I'm like, okay, like, wow, I feel good now. Like, I'm like, what, 2 foot tall now?
Yeah.
But that wasn't her intention.
Yeah.
Right? And she brings me this book. It was Person of Interest.
Yep.
By Michael Burt.
Yep.
And I went home and I put that in my bookshelf. Yep. Okay. And then I forgot about it.
Yep.
Right? Focused on building my brand.
Yep.
And then when me and Michael started this off, right? And then he said, hey, I'm going to get my coach, Michael Burt. I'm like, that's great, man. Hell yeah, cool. Still didn't click, dude. Still didn't click.
Yep. One
day I'm sitting there after he said your name, after we started doing graphics and everything like that, because at the beginning it was me, you, and him.
Yeah.
Right? And we expanded on it.
Right.
Another one of your students, Travis Wallace, who's a badass.
Yeah, he is.
He's been on my show. I love him. Can't wait to see him. I go to my bookshelf. I'm like, I don't know what prompted it. Maybe a text from Mel checking in on me.
Yep.
It's probably like, hey, I haven't heard from you. Are you good? Like, it's been a while. Yeah, sorry, I'm just in it. I'm like, oh, what's that book? And I pull it out. It's son of a bitch. Michael Burt.
Yeah.
And now and it was just this full circle moment. I'm like, what just happened?
Wow.
Right?
That's awesome.
So don't judge.
Yeah.
Don't judge.
Well, and it's so crazy because Person of Interest is the smallest book that I've ever written, but it's been one of the most impactful books.
Because I think everybody's searching for the way to grab people's attention, right?
It kind of starts with we have a desire to be known.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my 2-year-old, my 4-year-old, look at me.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm looking at him and I'm not looking at her, she's like, look at me, daddy.
Yeah, exactly.
It is hardwired into us to be known, to be recognized, to be somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And when I wrote that book, it's like, how do you become known
Yep.
for something?
Yep.
Right. And I go through the skills, that kind of 8 things that I think, and I was really writing it from an aspirational perspective. At the time, I did not consider myself to be a person of interest.
Mm.
I consider myself to be a student of people of interest.
Amazing, dude.
And I go, one day when I grow up, I want to be like the big boys and the big girls.
Yeah, man.
And that's how I wrote that book. So many years later, it's crazy because I could combo the habits of the top 1% of performers with the ingredients that I wrote about in that book.
It's amazing, dude.
But that little book has sold more copies for me, person of interest, and it's really the kind of people I coach who have a desire.
Yeah.
What Mike Little really came to me for was to be a person of interest.
Yeah. And I'm committed to reading it when I get back. Because it's like, there's a reason I hadn't yet.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, okay, now I feel that pull, gonna read it. Right. But no, look, man, it's a cool story. It's pretty neat. And it just shows you how the world is really connected.
100%.
Right. We're all so connected.
Yeah.
We're on this rock. It's spinning.
That's right.
But we're all closer than we think.
Yeah, totally agree, man.
But look, man, so michaelburt.com.
CoachBurt.com.
CoachBurt.com. Find all his books there, his programs there. I do want to preface it with something. If you are going to reach out to Jana at
CoachBurt.com if you want to speak to me.
You better be serious.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time. Don't waste his time.
Yep.
He works for people that are really activating their prey drive and want to do great things in this world. So it's not a threat. I'm just telling you.
Yep.
If you're serious, go see your boy. But I just appreciate you.
Yeah, man.
And I can't wait.
Too.
Thank you, man.
I mean, congratulations. Impressed with this and your dedication and your long obedience.
Yes.
In the same direction.
Yes.
And you're going to keep doing bigger things, and it's going to keep getting bigger and bigger, and keep on, man. And you got an advocate in me.
Oh, I appreciate it. And right back at you. Can't wait to tear the stage up with you tomorrow.
I love it.
So listen, guys, hope you enjoyed today's show. What I want you to do is share this episode with someone you know, love, and trust that would receive this message and enrich their life. Again, subscribe YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Until next time, stay determined.
Sharp French, what up? This one luck, I let the pain inspire me. I put my all in everything I'm doing. Up until it's done, I'm me for the entirety. I put in overtime, I be working. Just know I'ma go for mine, cause I earned it. They watching, I know it's time, I confirmed it. A whole society determined to show.